Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast. Happy Monday. I'm Jay Zawaski with Greg Boysen and Mario Tirabassi. Law is here on the dials as well. We've got a massive show for you today. We're going to get things started in a few moments with Jordan Nolan, three-time Stanley Cup champion and star of the TV show Shoresy. The cast is coming to town in November for a matchup with the Blackhawks alumni. We're going to give you all the info on that. We're going to hit up the Rockford IceHogs in their first game of the season. Greg wrote his report on the Hogs this morning, and we've got new lines ahead of tomorrow's Blackhawks game against Calgary. But let's get started right away and bring in our guest, Jordan Nolan, star of Shoresy, officially credited as Jim number 3. But, Jordan, you are my favorite of the Jims. You always have something deeply philosophical to say when you are questioned by Shoresy.
Thank you. Yeah, it's an honor to be here. And Jim number 3. I swear when we first signed up in that first meeting, when we all arrived on set, I swear Kiso said, "Who wants to be Jim number 1? Who wants to be 2? Who wants to be 3?" And I think my brother, who's Jim number 2, and Mirasty, who's Jim number 1, I think it just made me do 3 because I think he talked the most. So I think that's why I'm Jim number 3.
And I don't think, for those that don't know, John Mirasty, Jim number 1, is if it came down to a fight, I think that would you probably would just concede Jim number 1 to Mirasty. Is that probably the safe bet?
Yeah, he'd rather die than lose a fight, I think, or any kind of competition. So he's pretty he's a tough guy, and he's a good person too.
Well, let's start before we get to the Shoresy Fall Classic, which we're going to November 19th, coming to the Allstate Arena. Get your tickets at shoresyclassic.com. We got to take issue with you as we are a Blackhawks podcast. 2012, 2014 Stanley Cup champion with the Kings, and then you go on and win one with the Blues in 2019. That is a way to make Blackhawks fans not a fan of you. But I want to talk to you about playing those Blackhawks teams at the middle 2010s, which we are looking back on longingly because it's been kind of slim around here lately, hockey-wise. What was it like playing those teams, and what do you remember about those matchups?
Oh, I remember just being so young and just kind of having fun with it, taking it all in. I think it was an amazing time in that conference. I think every team had a chance of winning the cup, and I know we had a special group. We had a lot of great players. I think when you're in it, when you're young, you don't really realize who you're playing with and the team you have. And then you look back when you're 35 years old, some of the guys we got on that roster, it's pretty amazing. I think we remember Simon Gagne coming to the lineup in game 4 or 5 in the Stanley Cup final in 2012, and me as a young guy thinking he hasn't played in a while. I don't know if could he be a little rusty, but he was my line mate that game, and he was unbelievable. So little things like that, I think you really appreciate it looking back, how good those teams were and how much fun it was to come to Chicago and play them at the top of their game, and I still remember getting slotted into the lineup. I don't know what game it was. Maybe the 2013 one. When Kaner scored that was it the overtime goal where he double knee slide and then the punch. Yeah, I remember I played that game, and that was one of the best games I got to be part of.
Well, yeah, I mean those Kings and Blackhawks teams of that time, it was awesome to see them go against each other because it was just like that was the. I remember in 2014 that felt like the Cup final. Yeah, that 2014 conference Western Conference final, because it just really felt like at that time those were the two best teams in the league, and you were part of the 2012 Kings team that was the 8th seed that ended up going all the way and winning the Stanley Cup, and I wanted to ask about that team because in the NBA or like NFL, like those teams that just get into the postseason, you kind of just feel like, yeah, well, they'll be in, they're in, but they're not necessarily having a chance. But in hockey, it's a lot different. Did you guys feel that like that way about it, that it was just like, let's just get in and see where it goes, and how the mentality of that team kind of overcame just being the 8th seed and riding that all the way to the Cup?
To be honest, I don't remember too much about it. I got called up in February that year. So I was just happy to be there, working my hardest. Maybe I remember back then, but now I don't remember just squeezing in playoffs. I don't remember being an 8th seed. I don't remember too much about it. I think I remember we had a pretty special team, a pretty unbelievable roster. And I think, once that game one in Vancouver happened, I feel like our team just clicked. And I'm sure it was the same with Chicago and some of those other teams. But when you're clicking and you have a strong team and everyone plays with that same mindset, you do feel like you're never going to lose, and you always have a chance to win. So I don't remember too much doubt or negative times during those couple of years. I think we always thought we had a chance to win. It's just up to us and if you want to play our game. But I would say that first round against Vancouver, when Stoli scored the game winner there to send the President's Cup winners home, that was pretty special, and felt like we were off after that.
Well, you definitely earned a lot of fans in Chicago for beating the Canucks back in 2012. That was in the heat, towards the tail end, but the Hawks and the Canucks had that rivalry going there. So pretty sure all Chicago was cheering for you guys then. But you look back on those teams, and like two of the core of those teams and two of the leaders, guys like Anze Kopitar and Drew Doughty. And those guys are still performing at a high level. I know Doughty's hurt right now, but there's no doubt when he comes back, he's still going to be that guy. How amazing is it for those guys, still to this day being the best players on their team?
Yeah, those guys are. I feel like those guys are pretty laid back, hard workers. Obviously, very competitive. They just have that natural body, it seems like. Some guys are big into the gym, some guys might overdo it once in a while, some guys are eating super healthy or whatever it takes, but those guys just seem like they have that natural body where they can play forever. I think Kopi was never a big guy, never very muscular, never hammering the gym, but he was always in great shape, always took care of himself. And Drew was just the ultimate competitor. He liked to have fun, liked to have a good time, but he loved to compete. And I think those are the guys that usually, last a long time. But they're great leaders, and they've been doing well there in LA.
You've got one of your former teammates playing in Chicago, Alec Martinez, who Hawks fans remember as beating them in overtime, a Game 7 in 2014. What was he like to have as a teammate? And I feel like looking back on his career, now that he's at the tail end of it, probably a guy who's a little bit underappreciated for all he's accomplished in his career.
I think so. Marty's a guy who always came to work. He took playing the NHL very seriously. Never took a day for granted. A great leader. I think when these guys stick around for a long time too, they're usually good people. They're usually good for young guys to look up to. But Marty was someone who kind of always happy to be at the rink, always in a good mood. Again, another competitive guy, and someone who you want your young players to look up to, and on and off the ice. He's a great person, and I got to see him. Was it 2 years ago? Maybe we did our 10-year reunion in LA for the 2012. So it was a lot of fun seeing all those guys.
All right, let's get to the Shoresy Fall Classic coming to Chicago Tuesday, November 19th at the Allstate Arena. You're going to be there. The other gyms are going to be there. Shoresy's going to be there. Terry Ryan's going to be there. The whole crew, basically, from what I'm looking at here. And this is proceeds benefiting the Chicago Youth Foundation. I know you've had a couple of these already. Tell us about what fans can expect at the Shoresy Fall Classic.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's a chance for fans to come and meet some of their favorite characters. We have a lot of different personalities. It really does feel like a hockey team. When we all came together that first day, It felt like a dressing room. You had Terry Ryan telling the stories, putting music on. We had other guys. We had guys who would pick on once in a while, and I feel like we just gelled like a real hockey team. We didn't feel like we didn't feel like actors coming to set and pretend to be a hockey team. We felt like a real hockey team away from set, and we came on set and having fun and read the lines and did the best we could. But I think Jared Kiesel built a great atmosphere where we felt like we could play. We felt like we could walk in on set, and if I had to move my hockey skates or throw some tape here and there to make it look real, he was all for that. He didn't really hold us back in any way. And even with the fights, we kind of did our own thing. We obviously had a script that we had to follow and stunt coordinators, but if John Mirasty didn't feel very natural in his fighting scene, he was definitely going to change it. And you weren't going to tell him no. But yeah, when those fights happen, you do feel like you're in it. I fought Penner, who played in the Sioux, played in the Quebec Fighting League, and even last season, the one guy I fought, he probably played Saturday night in that Quebec Fighting League. He's a captain, scored a goal, got in a fight, took a 12-hour cab ride to Sudbury, and then me and him fought the next night, and it felt real, except for landing the punches. But you're definitely your adrenaline gets going where you might want to hit the guy a little bit, but it's a lot of fun.
Well, you mentioned it feeling real, and I've seen every episode of Shoresy. I love the show. It's one of my favorites, and you guys really do kind of have the vibe of guys that have known each other forever. I know very few of you are actual trained actors, but it does feel like the cast is very tight knit. Is that just quality acting, or is it true? It seems like you guys are pretty close.
No, I think it's pretty true. I mean, I never met John Mirasty until we got to set that day, and really, I mean, pretty much what you see on set from the gyms is what you see offset. We're all together all the time. Obviously, the gym number 2 is my brother, and with John, we do every dinner together. We've done we now work together a little bit with our hockey schools throughout the winter. My brother's gone on vacation with John, and the other guys. I mean, we all have a lot of fun together. We all have grown over these past couple of years. Season 1, we're obviously hanging out together, but it's been a lot of fun, and this will be the first time we all kind of get to try something new and hit the road and see how that goes. But I'm assuming it's going to feel like a real hockey team kind of coming to town. Pre-game meal, you do your Q&A, meet the fans, and then go out there and compete. And yeah, the games are going to be interesting. I'm not sure. They're going to be a lot of fun. They'll be entertaining, and hopefully it gets a little bit competitive. Again, we're all former hockey players, most of us. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wonder what the competitive level would be of the games with the alumni there. See if it gets ramped up or anything. Wanted to ask, like, when the hockey career was over, did you ever expect that acting or getting into something like this would be something you'd be doing?
I had no clue. I was sitting in Scranton, Pennsylvania, playing for the Penguins during the COVID year. I had 2 kids at home. I was heading to the rink and tested every day. We had our time slots of when to show up, when to work out, when to practice. And that was tough. At that time, I played my games. I got lucky playing for some good teams, a couple Stanley Cups, and just decided that was time for me. And again, it was COVID. You had no paycheck. You're not really sure what to do. So I actually signed up for firefighting. I went back to school, graduated there. I reached out to the LA Kings if they had any opportunities. So they brought me on as the community relations ambassador. I used to do lots of work for them. We run our 3 Nolans Hockey School, which is all across First Nation communities in Ontario. And then we get a random email from this lady from Letterkenny asked if we want to be a part of a show. We only need you guys for 6 days, so it's an easy job to show up. You won't be many lines to be hockey. It's a lot of fun, but we only need you for 6 days. And now 6 days turned into to 4 seasons and a tour coming up. So I never thought it would happen. I was always interested in film and television. I think traveling lots with the teams and being on the road and watching movies and everything, you always kind of wondered what the other side looked like. But it's been a great experience.
I want to ask you about the First Nations part of things, and I know you're First Nation Ojibwe, which is one of the many tribes acknowledged in the Blackhawks land acknowledgement before every game. Something that I noticed very quickly about the show Shoresy is how there are so many First Nations actors included, but it's done in a way where it's not a caricature, it's not forced, it's not performative. These characters are just members of the team, members of the community, members of the staff. I think it is very noticeable in the show in the way that it's not hyped. It just is. There are First Nations actors on this show, period, and that's it. And it just feels so natural. I wonder how you feel about that as being part of the First Nations.
Yeah, I think they've done a great job. I mean, that was one of our concerns coming into the show. Not only representing yourself, but your people. You don't want to do it in a certain way. You don't want certain jokes to be done or be represented in a certain way. So, but what Jared Kiso and his team has done over their whole career is just make things feel very natural. When you walk in a rink in Sudbury and play senior hockey, you're going to see a team like ours. You're going to see lots of familiar faces. So, again, there's nothing forced about it. It feels very natural. It doesn't feel like it's an issue where they're trying to hit, all these certain little things where they must have hit to appease certain people. That's what a northern town in Ontario looks like. That's what Sudbury looks like. So they're just kind of, looking in the mirror when you're walking around and seeing a good team. But they've done a great job, and they've always been very respectful of everyone and everyone's background.
I think that's, when people use the word representation, that's what it is you want what the community of Sudbury or wherever looks like to be the show. And that's exactly what it is. And that's why it is so it just seems so natural. And I love it. It's a very cool part of the show. And it's, especially with us here in Chicago with the Blackhawks, it's something that we are very alert on, that sort of things. A lot of that's been brought to our attention since Danny Wirtz took over ownership of the team. The Native American initiatives have really been ramped up a little bit. So it's something that's part of being someone that covers and cheers for the Blackhawks. So I hope they keep that up. It's a very cool part of the show.
Yeah, definitely. It's important. It's, with myself, my brother, we travel around and we talk to these communities, and John Mirasty is actually chief on his reserve up in Saskatchewan. So we take it very seriously in representation, and it's good to see some teams kind of making some changes and keeping it going.
On a lighter note, when you get recognized in public, are you recognized more as Jordan Nolan, 2-time Stanley Cup champion, or Jim these days?
It's strange. When I first got hired back by the Kings, I was in the elevator in LA, heading to the practice facility for work, and someone said, "Oh, are you Jordan Nolan?" And I said, "Yeah, that's me." She's like, "Oh, I loved you in Shoresy," and so that was pretty amazing. I played there for a number of years, so to be recognized as Jim. And then last season, I got to do a Shoresy night for the Ontario Reign, and it's pretty wild. It's a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing what these fans kind of are going to say to us this time on a tour, or expect us to maybe drop the gloves with. Who knows who Chicago's going to dress? I'm sure they got some guys over there who would be willing to go if it was 10 years ago.
Yeah, I'm excited to see who might be part of that Blackhawks line. We've seen a couple guys dressed for I think it was like a first responders game that had some alumni. I think Brian Bickle and Adam Burish were two guys that were there that were skating. I don't know how much skating they do these days, but maybe they might be potentially part there. And I don't know, maybe they might be guys that they did it back in their playing days. They might do it one more time.
Yeah, I'm sure. If Steve Larmer shows up, he wouldn't mind throwing a couple elbows. I'm sure, just like anything else, with those guys too. Like once the skates are on and once the helmet's on, it's hockey again. Like exhibition or not, those competitive juices get flowing, and you might catch a stray or two you weren't expecting to.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even when we're filming our show, maybe it was season 3, but this one guy to grab me and my brother at the start of the fight and push us. And I mean, the camera's right there, and my brother was starting to get pretty upset with the guy, and he wanted to fight him almost. But again, it's like when you're playing a hockey or in the NHL, you get mad at these guys, you want to fight them and slash them and say certain things, and then once it's all done, you're having a good time after the game. So, but there will be some pretty competitive guys, I think, and I hope so. I hope it's competitive. I hope it turns up a little bit. You're not trying to hit guys or hurt anyone. You want it to have fun. You want it to be a good game, but you want to give these fans a good show. And I think they're going to see, a competitive game once things get rolling. It might be all fun and laughs at the start, but I think with lots of former hockey players and guys who play in some good teams, they'll wanna win, and maybe they'll want to embarrass the Bulldogs, or we'll want to embarrass them. We'll try our best.
So if one of these alumni teams do beat you guys aren't going to fold, are you? I mean, you guys are supposed to hate to lose.
We might have to recast for our next tour. Some of these guys we brought in, we'll see how their level is. If we have to sit a couple guys late in the third, Mirasty's a little bit bigger now, so if he's not keeping up, we'll have to find a new line mate. But my brother just started playing in a pickup league too, because he hasn't skated very much over the past 10 years. So he's taking it pretty serious now. So it's going to be fun. All
right, we got one question from the audience from our buddy Anthony. Tony says, ask if the women in Sudbury are as hot as the women in the show.
You'd have to ask some of those other Bulldogs that hit up that nightlife pretty good in Sudbury when we're filming. But yeah, it's a fun city. It's actually a really nice city. They got a great little junior team there, and they take care of us. And this summer we got to film season 4, so we got to enjoy some of the golf courses and the lakes around town.
That's awesome.
People who are from Sudbury love saying they're from Sudbury. Our Kyle Davison, Blackhawks general manager, is a Sudbury guy.
Nick Foligno is a Sudbury.
Well, I mean, they get their shout outs in the show too. You could take the boy out of Sudbury, but you can't take Sudbury out of the boy.
Yeah, no, I'm from Sault Ste. Marie, right down the road. So, I like the Sioux better than Sudbury, but Sudbury is like a second home now, I guess you could say.
There you go. Awesome. All right, Jordan, thanks for doing this. And I want to tell everybody about the Shoresy Fall Classic. Again, that's Tuesday, November 19th. The cast of Shoresy against the Blackhawks alumni, brought to you by New Metric Media. You can get your tickets at shoresyclassic.com. There are VIP packages available, which include meet and greets and those sort of things as well. So if you're a big fan of the show, check it out, shoresyclassic.com. Jordan, thanks so much for doing this, and maybe we could do it again a little closer to the event.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
All right, thanks man.
Jordan.
All right.
That is Jordan Nolan of Shoresy, and two-time 3. Is it good? 2 or 3? Yeah.
His name is on the cup twice.
Got 3 in his bio.
Sure.
Yeah, just take it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna tell an NHL player.
I don't officially recognize 2019 as actually happening.
Yeah, I agree. We're just striking that entire year from the record books.
Just like ESPN forgets the White Sox won the World Series in 2005. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, 2019 NHL playoffs never happened.
Yeah. So if you are a hockey fan, I know a lot of people watch Letterkenny, but if you've not watched Shoresy yet, it's available on Hulu. It is really good hockey stuff. It is very funny. It's one of my favorite shows. I really enjoy it. And as it goes on, pretty much as this is with any show, the character arcs change and grow, and it becomes a little more deep than it is the first few. So, give it 5-6 episodes, and I think you're really going to like it. It's good. The characters develop very, very well, and the gyms are some of my favorites in the show. And if you don't know who John Mirasty is, If you want to go to hockeyfights.com and look up some John Mirasty
It's got a
fights,
robust page.
you will see that's like fighting a fire plug.
Yeah.
He is a monster.
Ty Domi and Bob Probert had a love child. That's who it would be.
With a bulldog.
Yeah.
Yes, it's yeah, he is one of, for a guy who, did he play in the NHL? Maybe just a couple games, right?
Not according to his
for a
hockey
guy
TV.
who played either 0 or very few NHL games, that name in hockey circles runs deep. There's a lot. Mirasty is one of those legendary hockey fighters, and to this day, it's cool. He's a chief. Yeah, you're the chief. Yep, you got it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
sure. Who's going to tell him no?
Exactly. I'm just,
So looks for Mirasty, looks like the highest level he played would have been in the AHL for 4 seasons with the Syracuse Crunch. In 2009, 2010, played in 53 games in the AHL and 269 penalty minutes.
Nice.
Yeah,
double nice.
pretty good. He played in 56 ECHL games with the Bakersfield Condors back where they were in the ECHL in 03-04 and had 358 penalty minutes.
Yes, and Nate points out that there is a video of Mirasty basically fighting an entire wedding party in Russia. I've seen this. Yeah, Panarin was with him. That's right. Artemi Panarin's in this video.
He's a boxer. I wouldn't mess with him.
And they're like, if I'm remembering this correctly, they were just outside a wedding and these guys started messing with him. So John Mirasty's like, well, I guess I have to beat everyone's ass right now, and kind of succeeded. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like you hear a lot of the stories from like pro wrestlers when they're always out.
Oh, yeah.
There's always guys that are like, oh, you're the big tough guy. And then they have to prove it.
Yeah.
And,
Bob Probert used to tell those stories all the time.
And
He couldn't sit down at dinner without someone trying to fight him.
and usually the people that thought that, they immediately regretted those decisions.
Yeah. I want to fight Kevin Nash in a TGI Fridays.
You haven't lived.
I think it's going to go well for me.
Just get power bombed through the salad bar.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what dollar margaritas will do to you.
All right, we've got more to come on. We're a little early for the break zone. Can we hit it early? Is that against the rules?
I don't know. I have no idea.
We make the rules.
I think the break zone starts whenever you hit the button, Lawrence. You've got all the power.
Yeah, let's go ahead and
Let's see what happens. But let's do a little tease first, just to get a little closer to the official break zone. We do have new lines for the game against Calgary, some new scratches, it appears. And we're going to talk about the Rockford IceHogs convincing first game of the year. Greg's got his High on the Hogs piece out today.
We've edited the name.
The rename.
Oh, it's renamed.
now Pigs and Puck.
Oh, I like that.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Pigs in a pucklet.
Yes, there was a another IceHogs blogger that used a name very similar to that
Okay, fair
years
enough.
ago. He doesn't anymore, but I reached out to John Fromey and asked him, say, hey, you okay with this? He's like, I'm good either way. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna change it.
Yeah, either way, it means
Because
please change it.
we all know the internet could be a very fickle place. So
What?
No.
those were my two. Those were my two
No,
choices.
never.
Al Gore's internet? How
Right,
dare you?
yes, I know. So out of respect to John's great work that he's been doing, and to avoid more screaming matches online, we've
Good move.
edited it
Good
to
idea.
Pigs and Puck.
All right, good move. All right, before we hit the break zone, remember, if you want to get tickets to the Shoresy Classic, shoresyclassic.com. That is November 19th at the Allstate Arena. That is a Hawks game day, so unfortunately the three of us will not be able to be there.
I know someone was asking if we should do a takeover. and
I
I'm
would
like,
love
I mean,
to.
the fans can go.
Yeah.
Take it over.
Take
for
it over.
us.
Would have, I would have loved
We
to.
If
gotta
you
work
go,
it,
represent. Wear your
send
CHGO
pics
merch.
Send us
Yes.
pics and vids.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Start
won't
a
be able
fight
to
with
be
the
there.
gyms.
Please
Yeah.
don't do that.
Not Mirasty, not gym number one.
I wouldn't
Give
mess
yourself
with,
a chance. I wouldn't mess with any of
those
them.
guys.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah.
But I think even Jordan kind of said, yeah, if Mirasty wants it, he gets it. Pretty much. So, all right, we are going to hit the break zone. We'll be back with a whole lot more right here on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
Say Prost to bigger and better savings on your next vehicle, because Cartoberfest is going on now at Ray Chevrolet. Head in today to shop their huge selection of Chevy models at new low prices. Right now, take $3,000 up to $12,000 off MSRP on most new Chevy models, or cruise through fall your own way and shop over 125 of their vehicles priced under $20,000. As one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, you'll always be able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories. Visit our partner this October on their location in Route 12, on Route 12 in Fox Lake, or at RayChevrolet.com. And if you've heard of Ray Chevrolet, then you've also heard of Ray's Price Promise. They're guaranteed to make your next vehicle more affordable than ever with no price changing, no add-ons, and no hidden fees ever. That means the incredible prices we're talking about right now, those are the ones you're going to see when you shop Ray Chevy in-store or online. Shop Cartoberfest all month long by visiting Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive.
With all that money you're saving on Cartoberfest, you can use it to get tickets to your favorite events through our friends at Game Time. And Game Time is rolling out this new feature called Game Time Picks that is going to make it even easier for you to get tickets to your favorite events. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. You can go right through Game Time Picks and find exactly what you're looking for. It's because they curate it exactly to what you're looking for. It makes it easier to save more on sporting events, concerts, comedy shows, theater events, anything you're looking for tickets for. Game Time can get you in the door, get you in a seat. And the one great thing about Game Time is they're all in pricing. When you toggle that feature, it shows you exactly what you're going to be paying for. No more hidden fees, or you get to the checkout online and it pops up and here's an extra $60 for processing fees. None of that. With Game Time, you see exactly what you're going to pay for up front, and what you can see up front at Game Time is the view from your seat. If you've never been to any different venue before, or haven't seen a game at Wrigley since they've done the renovations, you can see what the view from your seat is going to look like with Game Time. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code CHGO. You're going to get $20 off of your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account, use the code CHGO, and get $20 off. Download Game Time today, because what time is it?
Game time.
Game time.
Game time is over in Ottawa. The
Yeah.
Senators beat the Kings 8-7 in overtime.
Oh, nice.
What the heck?
I love 1985 hockey.
It seems like a fun game to watch until I remember Darcy Kemper's on my fantasy team.
Ooh, that's rough.
And gave up all 8 of those goals.
Oh, no.
Way to go.
I wish I could watch the game. Oh, sorry. That's just force of habit. That's just force of habit.
Stop. Someone's going to yell at you about that.
Look at all. There's people suggesting new names for your already renamed blog. Bacon and Biscuits from Evil Bill's.
Ooh.
Swine Swagger.
Sounds good.
That sounds like a
Bacon and
disease.
biscuits.
From Lebowski 5.
Yeah.
I like what you did.
Yeah.
I like what you did.
Happier than pigs and puck.
Yeah. Perfect.
Sure.
Well, the IceHogs off to a good start.
Yeah, I can't complain about what we saw Saturday night. Opened the season against the Grand Rapids Griffins, the Detroit Red Wings, minor league, overrated Yzerplan babies. Yeah, they're the team that knocked them out of the playoffs last year, and the IceHogs stuck it to them 4-1. Probably wasn't even that close. And as we've talked about a lot, that the IceHogs, this is the most important season in their franchise history since becoming the Hawks affiliate way back in 2007. They've got more draft picks, kids that actually are hoping will matter here in Chicago for a long time. And you saw those guys. Those were the kids that led the way. The first goal of the game was Colton Dock. Made a nice little read, intercepted a pass, quickly got it on net. They scored. Louis Crevier thought they had a goal at the end of the first period, but time had expired. They had to take a look at it. In the second period, one of the most exciting plays we've seen in a while, because it's something we've been waiting to see here. Kevin Korchinski, end-to-end rush on the power play. There was a brief second in the neutral zone where he kind of looked over his shoulder.
He was going to do it.
And then then he assessed the situation and said, screw it.
Nah, Sorensen had the shot collar on him.
Whatever worked.
That was his out.
However it worked,
That
it
was
worked,
his
but he
out.
took it end to end. It also helped that whoever the IceHogs defenseman was, I believe it was
Griffin's
Tori
defenseman.
Dello, more like Tori Jello, the way he kind of just fell.
Burn.
He literally just kind of fell and then forgot how to get up, which helped. But
That's fine. Hey.
you got to take advantage. Drove the net, the first shot was saved, but then he was able to poke home the rebound against Sebastian Cosa, a former first-round pick of Steve Yzerman, by the way. And then they added 2 more in the second period. AHL veteran defenseman Gavin Fitzgerald made it 3-0, but the key on that was Frank Nazar, Landon Slaggert got their first AHL points by picking up the assists. And Jay's guy, Samuel Savoie, a really nice goal, pretty piece of work, drove to the net.
Of course.
Gavin Hayes threw a great pass that just tipped right in for the easy goal, and Louis Crevier got an assist on that. And Drew Comezzo was solid in net, only faced 18 shots, stopped 17 of them. Something called Brogan Rafferty scored the only Grand Rapids goal late in the third period. Didn't really.
Comezzo got an assist.
Comezzo had the primary assist on the Kevin Korchinski goal. So big night. They showed a little grit too. Both newly named assistant captain Isaac Phillips dropped the gloves, and Colton Dock dropped the gloves. Colton Dock was an assist away from the Gordie Howe hat trick.
I think they might have a couple of those this year. I would
maybe, but it was awesome. The atmosphere, sold out crowd. They are wearing brand new all black.
Those are cool.
City uniforms.
They're really leaning into the Screw City.
Hey, you know what? They should, because that's
awesome. Screw City.
Hey,
Population U.
Yeah, Screw City and their rivals Pound Town.
Well, it's look, this is what we want to see from the IceHogs. You want to see the names of these guys we know are going to be Blackhawks in the future, putting up numbers, looking dominant. Kevin Korchinski certainly looked dominant on that goal. However you want to excuse it, a guy falling down. Speed causes, pressure causes those things to happen. Yeah. And as you look around too, like I saw Boisvert scored. Sam Renzel is putting up points. Like
Nick Lardis
is
maybe the hottest player in all of the CHL right now.
And Mario, when he writes the rebuild report, will have all that. Greg's got the AHL. Mario's got juniors in college. And everybody that you think is going to be part of this thing in the future is performing well at their level.
Yeah, they're off to a good start.
So it's, I think when we talk about this rebuild and we talk about, the future of this team and we do it in these glowing terms, is because there's not a lot of things that are red flags at all at this point. Everyone is performing well, and it will change as they level up and level up and level up. And maybe some of these guys that are doing really well in college or junior become lifelong AHL players, or, maybe just get a handful of games in the NHL. Some of these guys, I think we're pretty convinced that Nazar, Korchinski, Oliver Moore are all going to be really good NHL players. So it's exciting. Like there is reason to be optimistic about the very near future of this franchise.
Yeah, and I think this season there's a change, a shift in what the rebuild looks like, and I think last year it was okay. Here's Bedard, here's Korchinski. There's a lot of young guys jumping in. The evolution of Alex Vlasic into a solid NHL player was awesome to see last season. But a lot of those guys playing up was kind of out of a necessity, because with Korchinski, he couldn't go to the AHL, wasn't going to just go back to Seattle and not really work on anything and make strides in his game at the junior level anymore. So he played all season in the NHL, and now he's going to be in Rockford, and you get Nazar in Rockford. It's like the rebuild now has shifted to the AHL being the development ground, and Blackhawks of past times didn't really use Rockford that way. It was more of, let's stash away a couple AHL veterans and these guys that just didn't make the Blackhawks, and it really wasn't focused on like the development of the young guys. But now it has been over the last few seasons, and that is where that development is going to be happening, because they want it to happen all together. So when these guys do get up to the NHL level, when they are ready to go, a lot of them probably are going to be on that same timeline. So that would be nice for them all to kind of like experience some winning and experience some growing pains, and hopefully experience some playoff games, some high pressure situations where these young guys have played in those minutes. You could look at a guy like Nolan Allen, Ethan Del Mastro, like the way that their games have evolved last year, playing those big minutes. Like that's what you're looking for this group to do over this season and next, so that by that like 2026 season, when some contracts conveniently expire at the NHL level. You have these young guys that are probably, if things go well, going to be on their way or already there and establishing themselves as like, this is the next era of Blackhawks hockey, and it's becoming more realized.
Well, look, everybody laughed about the Cubs way when Theo Epstein talked about it when he was hired and saying we want to have this complete organizational structure where things are taught the same way from A to AA to AAA to the major league level. And then you had these guys coming up like Wilson Contreras and all these guys like start coming up through the system, all playing ball the same way. That's helpful. And you have the NHL team very clearly has eyes on the American Hockey League teams. And even as we went, to visit Notre Dame and Michigan in college, we talked to those players. It was Slaggert and Nazar we've talked to and Ryder Ralston all said, like, we hear from the Hawks development team all the time. They talk to us all the time.
Yeah.
Like, it's very, very hands-on. And Kyle Davidson and all of his developmental coaches from like Kendall Coyne, Brian Campbell, all those people are in communication with every prospect in the system, no matter where they're playing, to work on, hey, we want you thinking this. We want you thinking this. They don't meddle with the coaching of the college teams, but they're very specific in what they want these players to work on. And it's a very, very hands-on approach. And I can't really think of a better way to handle a rebuild than the way they're doing it now.
Yeah. And the blueprint, I think, is coming from, come back to it all the time, but it looks like it's following what the Dallas Stars kind of did, where you get those young guys seasoned in the AHL. Look at like Thomas Harley, Logan Stankoven, Maverick Bork, I'm forgetting Wyatt Johnson. Yeah. Like those guys were all top end picks, like top end prospects. You let that, in any other situation probably would have jumped to the NHL pretty quickly, but you let them play in the AHL a little bit as 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds. And then by the time they get to the NHL, they're ready to go.
Yeah. That's the biggest reason that Kyle Davidson went out and got all those veterans that we've said, and we'll get into the lines here in a minute. Oh, there might be too many guys here. Well, that's why. So these guys can go down there and start becoming that core in Rockford. So when they get up here, it's just, hey, go out and play. Do exactly what you were doing down here. And Rockford's going to get even more exciting here in the next, hopefully, couple weeks when Artem Levshunov makes his debut.
Yeah.
And that was such an exciting game. You forgot that, the number 2 overall pick of last year's draft still hasn't.
You're about to add your best prospect.
Yeah.
Right. You're going to make it even more exciting when number 55 steps on the ice and hopefully shows exactly why he was taken when he was taken. One thing that I got a kick out of, talking about some of the other prospects, we mentioned Sasha Bover.
Weisberg.
Sure.
We'll always have Vegas.
Yes. I love seeing, I think good things are going to happen to him, because when you get a Canadian-born centerman who speaks French that wears number 9 at the University of North Dakota,
things go well.
I think we have something here.
Interesting.
That was a number Jonathan Taves wore when he went.
He wore 9?
He wore 9 at North Dakota.
Okay.
I'll wear the jersey tomorrow.
He was like 3 then, and all,
Yeah.
in his defense.
No, I thought he
toddler.
wore 16 at.
That wasn't for Canada.
That was his Canada.
That was
jersey.
Canada.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
9 at.
Well,
9
yes.
that
Then
day.
hey, that would be wonderful.
When I saw that, because first I was like, "Man, that's a fun. That's a good goal there." And then when he turned around, I was like, "He's wearing 9. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect."
That's awesome. I like your Stars comparison. And after the Utah game, I can't remember if it was Utah or Winnipeg, but somebody was in either my Twitter feed or the show Twitter feed saying the Hawks have one of the oldest rosters in the NHL. So much for the rebuild. It's like, no, the rebuild isn't happening here.
Rebuild happens
It's happening
Rockford.
in Rockford, which is where it should be happening.
Just like the rebuild for the Cubs, those guys all played in Iowa.
Yeah.
They all played in South Bend. Like, that's where you rebuild. You don't do it at the pro level. It's not the NFL where you're a rookie number 1 pick and you're playing on day 1. It's not how that works.
But just remember the fun of, I remember there was this video of like Chris Bryant hitting a home run in the Arizona Fall League that was like taking off a cell phone from behind the plate. And like those videos started surfacing and people were freaking out and getting excited. And then when the payoff happens, it's amazing. It's like such a fun thing to see come to fruition. I think there's a lot of Hawks fans that rightfully so jumped on when the Hawks got good in 07, 08, 09, when Taves and Kane arrived, and they never really had to suffer through the bad. Part of the fun of a championship is the low years in between and seeing these kids go from draft pick to prospect to NHL player to
journey.
Cup champ. That's what makes it so special.
Like God, like Lord willing, if Caleb Williams turns out to be exactly what he's supposed to be and gets the Bears to the promised land, like it's gonna feel great for long-suffering Bears fans.
Oh,
Absolutely.
my brother friend is already crap talking our other buddies from college who are all Packers fans.
That doesn't surprise me in the least.
It's been fun.
It's only the Packers' third franchise quarterback in a row. That's fair.
We haven't determined that yet.
He looks pretty good.
It looks pretty good.
It's not as good as Caleb. That's all that matters.
That's exactly right, my friend. All right, more to come here, including the changes coming for the Blackhawks tomorrow night in Calgary. But first, between work and people mad about not being able to see the Hawks game on your social media feed and things you can't control, it's no wonder that the three of us are more worked up than ever. Well, we usually choose Coors Light when we need to choose a chill mindset because it is the perfect beverage for when you choose chill. When you need to choose chill, reach for a Coors Light. It's mountain cold refreshment. And boy, I talked about those basement Coors Lights the other night. Had one when I got home. It was so cold it almost hurt my teeth. It was perfect. Those mountains were so damn blue. And when they are, it's as cold as the Rockies. Coors Light is cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged for a smoother finish. So when you embrace a chill mindset, it's a good time to choose chill, tweet at the right accounts, crack open a Coors Light. Coors Light is mountain cold refreshment, crisp and refreshing as the Colorado Rockies and Chris Bryant. Make the most out of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart right damn now by going to CoorsLight.com/CHGO Hockey. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Oh, yeah, there it is.
Crisp and refreshing. And hey, if Coors Light isn't your go-to,
It is.
why not check out our friends over at the Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary? They're here to elevate your autumn. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping. They have a crazy selection of over 100 different strains to choose from with easy online ordering and in-store pickup. So wherever you are in Illinois, Sunnyside has a location for you. They have spots as far south as Champaign and as far north as South Beloit. That's confusing. Stop in to the nearest store to you for expert guidance from their staff and select from quality lines like Floracal and Cresco. So make sure to pick up your favorite brands at Sunnyside. You can do that by visiting sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off of your first 3 online purchases, or stop into one of their stores. Tell them CHGO sent you. And when you're online, use the promo code HICHGO. That's HICHGO. And you're going to get that 50% off of your first 3 online purchases. Exclusions do apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, bright buys every day, only for those 21 or older or Illinois medical card holders.
All right, here are your lines heading into tomorrow's matchup against the Calgary Flames. Yes, we will be here for pregame and postgame.
Yes.
So don't forget, we're here.
We're here.
Connor Bedard, Nick Foligno, Teuvo Teravainen, no change there. Philip Kurashev, Taylor Hall, Tyler Bertuzzi, no change there. Dickinson, Mikheyev, Anderson, no change there. Athanasiou, Maroon, and Craig Smith back in the lineup. So your scratches up front are Lucas Reichel and Ryan Donato. Your D pairs, Martinez Jones, Vlasic Brody, Kaiser Murphy, Nolan Allen. Again, the healthy scratch. No real huge problems with this for me. I just don't know how long Nolan Allen just needs to sit in the press box and eat popcorn.
Well,
I'd like to see him play a little bit.
From Ben Pope, maybe to answer your question. This is from Luke Richardson today on both Nolan Allen and Lucas Reichel being scratches. It says, quote, "We are playing really well as a team right now, so there's not a lot of changes going on, and there's not a lot of guys that are banged up, so you've got to bide your time and wait. I'm sure at some point we might have to have a discussion about a plan for them to get into games, whether it be here or down below. but we haven't come to that point yet.
So he has concepts of a plan. I'm sure at some point we might have to have a discussion about a plan for them to get into games.
Yeah, well, we're 3 games into it.
I know. It's funny.
Yeah, I mean, look, like I think like we kind of said after the Winnipeg game going into Edmonton, you know, they no one really played terribly to where you're like get their ass on the bench, you know, anything like that. So they kind of rolled out the same lineup that played in Winnipeg, and they played really well, and you know, got a win against Edmonton. So, you know, Donato for Smith, it's a 4th line change. You move Athanasiou to the center. I didn't think Craig Smith played all that bad in the first game against Utah.
That turnover was bad, but like,
yeah, besides that,
it happens.
Yeah, so he sat his 2 games. Now he gets an opportunity to get back in the lineup.
I've given up on him completely after that.
That's
it.
That's it. It's over.
You wrote him
Toss
off.
him out.
Buy him and TJ Brody out.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think I'm, you know, for a 4th line change, I think it's something different, but I don't think it's necessarily that big of a tweak. And you know, the theme through training camp in the preseason was, you know, roster competition, and you know, it's going to be harder for players to get ice time if you're not performing. And not to say Nolan Allen hasn't been performing, but I think he was there to kind of like bide the time for Wyatt Kaiser, get the experience of being in the NHL. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes down to Rockford and starts playing more significant minutes for a longer period of time. With Reichel, he needed to perform to get in the lineup and stay there. Wasn't really doing that through the preseason. And if you're not fitting into the top 6 as Lucas Reichel, as the style of player he is, you kind of get lost in the shuffle of what the Blackhawks are trying to do with their bottom 6. So again, like he needs to play to prove that he can be in the lineup. But if things start clicking and guys start gelling together and there's no real reason to take anybody out, you kind of just get lost in the shuffle.
I don't love Donato getting taken out. I mean, Donato has been noticeably physical and engaged and playing hard and doing everything you need a guy like that to do. I don't know. Luke just loves him some Joey Anderson, man. Like, that is his guy. And granted, Luke Richardson has forgotten more about hockey than I will ever know, but it's just, I know it's a little bit strange that Donato is the one to sit. I don't know. We'll see. And I'm sure he'll get back in. Everybody will get their chances to get back in the lineup. But I've seen nothing with my eye that says that Ryan Donato should be scratched.
No, I think it's more of a rotation here than a statement on how Donato's been playing. That 3rd line with Anderson and Dickinson and Mikheyev has been your best defensive line. I don't think you're going to make the rotation there until there's a reason to. So you want to get Craig Smith back in there after 2 games. Calgary has a little more physical edge to him than we've seen the last couple games. So keeping Maroon in there is probably a good idea, and Smith can play physical too. So you're not really losing anything there. As far as Reichel goes, once he gets in there, he better have
never look back.
He better have a fire hotter than 10 burning suns lit under his ass to start performing. Because it is clear that this team is like, we don't care if you don't play.
Right.
You need to earn it. So I'm sure he'll get in at some point on the homestand. Maybe you put him in against the Sharks. Like, hey, if you can't get excited for your first game of the season, the home opener against the worst team in the league, and you can't perform, then I don't know what we're doing here.
Yeah, Nick says, what I don't understand is how we think Reichel or Allen are going to get any better by sitting. Sitting the young guns is not the play. Send them to Rockford now. The second part I'm down with. I think at this point, in the season, you can't just, you brought in all these veterans. You have a old roster. Let's be honest. The goal of that is to win games. They're trying to win games this year. They're trying to finish higher. They're trying to be in playoff contention, all that stuff. So you can't go look Foligno and Dickinson and Maroon and all the Tavo and Bertuzzi in and be like, we're just going to play these guys because they're young.
Right.
You can't do that yet. Now, if things start to fall apart and they lose 8 of 10 or something and the playoffs are a pipe dream, then you start talking about integrating the young players back in. But for now, you've got to treat it like they're in contention because it's 3 games. They are. They're right there. They're 3 points out of first place, mister.
Oh, look out. Yeah, I think a lot of the, I know someone says like accountability, but they're still playing Brody. It's just like, it's been 3 games. Brody's a longtime NHL vet. I think Luke Richardson is going to bank that a guy like TJ Brody can maybe play himself out of a funk that he's been in to start the year. But again, if you have a guy like that after 4, 5, 6, 7 games to start the year is starting to, is things aren't getting better, then yeah, that's someone that you can look at to put in Nolan Allen and get him into the lineup that way. And that's what Richardson is saying, is just like right now, this lineup, this group is playing well enough together. No one's hurt. There's just not really a big opportunity to get these guys in. And as far as sending them down, Nolan Allen is waivers eligible, so that's an easy assignment to Rockford. Reichel isn't. And I mean, honestly, if you were to send him down, I don't know how fast he gets plucked off of waivers at this point in the season. But that could be, something that they're considering as well. But I don't know. I just think, like, with the group that they have, with what we know, Luke Richardson likes to defer to veterans when necessary and when he gets an opportunity to. But I don't have any worries that when the time comes, when it makes the most sense, that Reichel and Allen or any of the young guys will get an opportunity when it makes sense for this team. Because like you said, Jay, like they're trying to compete more, to at least to start the year. See what happens with getting some winning going. Like this is a group of some guys like Foligno and Seth Jones and Connor Murphy. I mean, think of all the losing he's endured since being here in Chicago. Like, this is a group that they want, this veteran group, to experience some winning, get that mood and energy in the locker room. Trying to wipe away the last 2 years would be really nice for this veteran group to do, so that when you have an opportunity to bring up the young guys and get them clicking in the lineup, they're coming into a better vibe, a better mood in the locker room, where you're not just dug into the bad habits, and things can feel better.
Yeah, and Lebowski 5 says Allen's already better than Brody right now. I don't know if I'm ready to declare that after one game, but
Nolan Allen wasn't bad in his first game,
Yeah,
but
I
also believe TJ Brody can probably play his way out of it. But if he doesn't, then okay, then put in Allen.
Yeah.
Like, good.
Yeah, I'm not going to lose sleep over TJ Brody being scratched at some point for Nolan Allen. Not at all.
And I wouldn't be surprised if, when the team gets back from the road trip, that Nolan Allen goes back down to Rockford to get some playing time, and you call up a Louis Crevier or an Isaac Phillips to kind of say, hey, all right, you might not play, but it's more important. I could see that happening, because I think Allen was kept on the team because heading into that opening night, Kaiser wasn't available yet, so it's kind of like, okay, now that Kaiser's available, played really well his first 2 games. Mm-hmm. When the team gets back to town, he might be going back to Rockford and playing big minutes. I don't think Nolan Allen, even though he played well in his debut and looked good in the preseason, I don't think that was a move that was like, oh, he's here for good.
Yeah, it didn't feel that way. It didn't feel that way.
Yeah, he would still benefit from playing in the top 4 in Rockford.
Yeah.
More than being the 6-7 guy here.
And if Gavin Fitzgerald, even though he's tied for the team lead in goals right now, has to sit, that's okay.
Yes, that'll be okay.
All right, we are going to be back tomorrow for the pregame show, 7:30 pregame, 8 o'clock puck drop, and we'll have the postgame as well. So please make sure you join us for that. By the way, I've not appealed for likes or subs yet, so please, before we wrap everything up, please hit that like button for us. Please subscribe to the YouTube page as well. We want to remind everybody, too, about becoming a diehard at allchgo.com. Get your shirts, get your hats right when you sign up. 20% off all of our events and merch, takeovers, all that great stuff. And if you're new here, I saw some people in the comments saying, why don't you talk about the fire? Well, check out the CHGO Fire Podcast.
Yes, we have a podcast.
There's one for every Chicago pro team and the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We got you covered.
I just want to give it a quick mention before we go. I was alerted yesterday that a former neighbor of mine and a good person, and a big hockey fan, big Hawks fan of the show, passed away over the weekend.
Oh, man.
So I just wanted to send my condolences out to the O'Malley family. Seamus O'Malley was a special person, a bright soul, somebody that if you spent 5 minutes with him, he left an impression on you. Unfortunately, succumbed to some health problems, far too young at just 29, and that's leaving a huge hole, for his family and friends. So just wanted to give the O'Malleys, Liz and Jim, send them a little bit of my love their way and good thoughts. And, rest in peace, Seamus. You will be missed for sure.
Yeah. All right, we'll talk to everybody tomorrow. Pregame, 7:30 before Hawks and Flames right here on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.